I am a very strong believer that you need to learn Git and you have to learn it right now, whether you are in IT or outside IT as well. If you are dealing with files, whatever is the data that you maintain in files and you keep different versions, then you need a version control system. And Git is nothing more than a version control system. It's one of many, but the most famous one out there. It's a little bit long. I know everyone is busy. However, you will not regret any second that you are going to spend on this video. We'll start with the theoretical part with beautiful videos that will provide the analogy so it will be easier to assimilate. And then we're going to do a demo on the AWS cloud. By the way, this video is part of the amazing, the awesome, the one-of-a-kind, ultimate IT fundamentals masterclass that was published. This is the course. If you would like to have a look and find out why it is unique and why it adds a lot. Anyways, commercials aside, this is your chance to know that Git can help you. So without further ado, I'll leave you to enjoy the video. All right, now it's very important to talk about version control systems. Basically, when you have scripts, when you have development code, when you have your biography, when you have your resume, when you have your CV, when you have your grocery list for the shopping that you need to do every week or bi-weekly. These are files and you need to maintain them, right? Let's say you are working on a resume. You want to apply for two different jobs. One is Linux system administrator and the other one is cloud engineer or DevOps engineer, or maybe three of them, four of them. And now you need to have multiple copies of your resume, right? So you start working on the first one and then you want to save it. But even when you are working on it, it will be a work in progress. Nobody is going to build the full resume to the perfect state overnight, unless you have to. But usually it should take some time because you need to think about it, to think about what you are going to add in each one of the fields, how you are going to design the layout and so on. So now you have 2 or 3 different versions of the first one for the Linux system administrator, but at least you have a final one now. And now you need to get that one and you start to massage it, change things, remove things, add things, change the title, change the skills, change the certificates, knowledge you have, projects you did, because you want to build one for the cloud engineer. You build the first draft and now it's late, you go to sleep, you come back tomorrow after school or after your game or after your gym or whatever, work on it. Maybe it will take you 2-3 different iterations and now you have the final one. Also, you are going to work then on the DevOps one, or maybe in parallel. So you'll end up with 9, 12, 15 different files, and you have to name each one of them with a different name, different version, different date. And all of a sudden, you will find that your folder for the resume has 20, 30, 40 different files. You are lost. You don't know which one is which. And if you are looking for a specific one, then you will have to open all the files and look for which one has what you want. And hopefully you have a good memory so you will remember which one you wanted and you find it, but it takes you a long time. So what is the way to control and manage those versions but keep them in one file? So how can I work on different iterations for the Linux system administrator and work on all of them, and they are different, but at the end on my disk, it's the exact same file. Let me add to this. What if you use also that in order to build the different iterations for the cloud engineer and it's single file only that is available? And you can go back and forth in any version you want. And you can even start at the very initial one, the draft one that you did 2 years ago. And it's only one file on your disk. And you start the third one and you do the same, and all these 30, 40, 50, whatever files, they are on your desk, a single file. That is exactly what version control systems or VCSs do. Git is one example, but that's not the only one. There are other version control systems, but Git and GitHub are the most famous ones. Version control systems, the definition, a version control system, abbreviated a VCS, is a software tool that helps teams manage changes to their files over time. So it could be anyone that is working on files and changing them and they hate or they don't want to maintain a gazillion number of files because of the changes that they would like to maintain. So it will help teams manage changes to their files over time. Of course, part of the times is if you have, for example, bash scripts. How can you maintain them over time? Same way. What if you have Docker configuration files, Docker compose files, Kubernetes files, Terraform files, your code, you are a developer and your code, the different versions of your code, same thing. If we are working with files, one, and that's the most obvious and the most ugly one, is we maintain different copies in order to make sure that we have the different versions and we can choose the right file, go back to that file and find out what we want. If we write the name and the date and the data in the file in a proper way. Or we can do a single file approach without VCS, but the single file approach. Every time you edit and you save it, you overwrite the previous one. You cannot undo. And the VCS type, where you maintain one file, but that file is going to have the different version all stored, but you have one file only. So there will be a repository, there will be a folder that will maintain the changes, but what you see is going to be one file only. Git is the most famous version control system. It's free, open source version control system designed to handle everything from small to very large projects with speed and efficiency. And that's the icon of Git. When you work with Git, you need to initiate or create a repository. The repository is basically the directory where you are going to work on your project. So you need to start a project now for your biography, create a directory. That will be your repo. All the files that have to do with this project are going to be in that directory or folder. So it's a space where all the Git tracking history is stored. How can I make a folder or a directory in my laptop or on a Linux machine in the cloud? How can I make that repository in Git? First of all, you need to install Git because it's not there by default. You need to use the command git init in order to initialize that repository. And then you will find that there is a folder called .git, and this is where all the changes are going to be maintained. If you delete that .git folder, everything about the history is going to be gone. That's why it is a hidden folder, and we'll see that when we work on a machine. Let's talk about Git tracking areas. You have the working directory. This is the project folder that you start when you start a project. So this area is where you work on your files. They could be development files, they could be scripts, they could be anything. And you make changes to these files. So any untracked files and any modified files are going to be, from the Git perspective, in an untracked area, which is your folder. And this is exactly, if we take the analogy, think about that you go to a restaurant and you make an order. In the kitchen, you have the executive chef and maybe some assistant chefs who are working on preparing the different meals. Somebody ordered burger, another ordered turkey, and then they need the different ingredients, the different tools and plates and fruits and so on. So this is when you are working on your project, when they are working on the meal, but it's not ready yet. So this is untracked. The waiter does not know what's going on in the kitchen now. If you want the waiter to know about it, when the meals are ready, we use git add in our project directory to move the changes that has happened or the new files that have been created, and Git will start to track it. So here Git sees it, but it's not instructed to track it. So the waiter knows that there's some food being prepared in the kitchen, but he doesn't know or she doesn't know what's going on in the kitchen. So this is called a staging area. So this area is the meals now in the kitchen are waiting on the waiter tray with the table number to be picked up and then delivered. So staging area means changes are ready, but they are not committed yet. We did not save a copy of the working data in the directory at this state. That's exactly what it means. Here, the food is not yet delivered to the customer, so the process is not finished yet. If we do git commit, then we are instructing Git, can you take a snapshot of the data in the staging area. There could be changes in files. There could be new files. There could be deleted files. Can you track that? And can you take a copy? So save a version at this particular time. And you can put comments and say exactly what was that commit about. And this is exactly as if the waiter has taken the food and has delivered it to the table where the family is sitting. So this is where we have all our committed change history. Files here are saved in their states at the time of committing. So exactly, it's a point in time snapshot or copy of your data with the changes that you have moved into the staging area. So are you saying that there could be some changes here or some new files that I have not added in the staging area? Yes, it is possible. So the snapshot is for what is in the staging area, what is ready in the staging area to be committed, or a snapshot to be taken for that. If there are any changes or files here that have not been added, they are not going to be part of the snapshot here. Basic git commands. Git init is going to initialize a working directory. Once you do this, you need to do the configure global username for the username that will be author of the commits. Also config -- global user.email and the email address of the user. These two commands can be done without the global, but when you do them without the global, this will be only for the working directory. If you want to do it for across any repo that you are going to create on this machine that has Git, then you use the global, and it's better to do it once with global and forget about it. When you are on the working directory, you can do git status to find out the current repo state. So do I have any untracked changes? Do I have any modified files? Do I have anything that is not in the staging area? Or maybe I don't have anything. Maybe everything is committed. Or maybe I did not start at all. Git add file.txt. So you can add file or files. Of course, you can do git add and dot without file.txt. And that means add everything that we have in the working directory and the subdirectories of this directory, add them into the staging area. And if you want to take a snapshot of the staging area data and modifications and files, you can do git commit -m. This is for a message. And then you write a message that will tell you what was that commit about. So this is when I added my hobbies in the biography, or when I added my last trip that I have gone to Singapore, for example, and I have added the images and pictures and all that stuff. So this will save a snapshot of the staging area content at this particular time. When you want to see the history of the commits, you can do git log, and you can do git log -- one line in one word, and that means it will show you that in a short form, line by line. So view the commit history in the current branch in a repo. So that was our introduction, and I think with a demo, this is going to make a lot more sense. So let's go ahead and do a demo on that. So let's go ahead and do a git installation and demo. Please remember that you can do the git installation and demo on your laptop, whether it is Windows or Mac OS or Linux. What I'm going to do, because that will neutralize any problems with your machine, any problems with your hardware, compatibility issues, or maybe you don't have a powerful one, so you have to buy another one. I don't want all of that to happen. So what we'll do is we're going to create a virtual machine in AWS, and we're going to practice everything on that. It's better to train in a real environment, real world environment, and that's the cloud. So what are we going to do? We are going to do the git installation first. So we're going to create an EC2 instance in AWS, a virtual machine. It's a Linux 2023 virtual machine in a public subnet and with a public IP address on the instance. Security group that allows all traffic inbound and outbound. So what do we need to do? I need to do sudo dnf update -y. So dnf is the package manager in Amazon Linux 2023, sudo dnf install git. So we update indices of the packages, and then we install git here. So let's go ahead and do this, and then we'll come back. So I'm back to instances, and I'm going to create one. Git testing. And as I mentioned, Amazon 2023 Linux. T2 micro is fine, and then I will take the key A. For the network, I'm going to edit. I'm going to use the custom VPC. For the subnet, I'm going to use the public subnet. And it's enabled for the public IP. And for the security group, I'm going to use A, which is widely open in and out. And that should be it. I don't need any user data or anything. So what I will check is just the VPC is right, public subnet is right, and this is enabled, and we have the instance key and the type. Everything looks fine. So let's go ahead and create this instance. Let me click on this, and that will take us to the instance. And once it's ready, okay, let me go back to the instances, to the main dashboard. And hopefully here I'll be able to get to it. Yeah, it's running. Connect, EC2 instance connect, scroll down and open a terminal or a shell into that instance. So here we have the instance ID, get testing, and the public IP and the private IP. And here you go, I am in. So sudo su, that will make me the root. Let's clear. And let's follow the steps to install Git. So DNF update -y. It's a bit slow because we didn't really give it enough time to boot. So now it's still completing the booting, and now there is nothing to do. All good. And then now we can do DNF install -y git. And as you can see, Git is being installed now. The reason why we need to have public IP, because this installation is happening from the internet. And all these data means that HTTP or HTTPS went out from the instance through the security group. It was allowed. It went out through the public subnet to the internet gateway, and it reached the server, and the response was allowed as well. That's how installation was successful. If you try this and you are unable to connect to the instance, or you connect to the instance and you are unable to do HTTP, HTTPS, check your security group outbound rules. Okay, so what do I need to do now? Let's verify that we have Git. So Git ---- version. And it tells me that I have Git version 2.5.1. So that's what we have right now. Let's find out what we need to do now. So this is done. We check the version. Now we need to create a local repo. So we're going to make a directory called my bio project. So this is going to be a biography project. And then we need to change directory into the my bio project. Then we need to list the files. Let's do this, and then we can come back and do the rest. So I'm going to make a directory. It's called my bio project. If we do ls now, I have this directory. So we are going to go inside my bio project ls. And if you want to know where you are exactly, that's pwd, and that will tell you exactly where you are in the system. If I do ls, I don't have any files. If I do ls -a to show me any hidden files or directories, as you can see, we don't have anything. All right. So what do I need to do now? Get init, initialize this directory as my working directory. When you do this, Git has its eyes on this directory and any files that you will create in the directory and any changes you will do in these files and any subdirectories or subfolders that you will create from this directory. So from this directory downwards into the file system, it's all going to be monitored, but you did not instruct Git yet to do anything about the files and changes. So let's initialize it. Let's do get init. So now I have initialized that. And if we do ls now, it will appear the same. But if I do ls -a, you'll find if you compare this to this, so we did ls -a, everything, even the hidden ones. Here I had nothing, no files, no directories. But here I have a directory .git. If I do cd.git, let's see what is inside that directory. You'll find that there is head, config, description, hooks, info, objects, references. These are all stuff that have to do with Git, and you don't need to get involved with that. So I'm going to leave it as is and get out. So the .git folder is where all the changes that are going to happen, all the snapshots that you are going to take, the commits, everything will be in that folder. Where exactly? That is way beyond the overview that we are trying to do now. Get status. And here, as you can see, it's telling me you are on the main branch, the master branch. There are no commits, and there is nothing to commit. Okay, so there is nothing. And here it's asking me, can you create or copy files and use git add to start tracking? What else do we need to do? Let's configure the global settings. So this is the username that will be the author of any commits in this folder and the email. So we're going to set get config -- global user.name and the username, which will be the author of the commits, and get config -- global user.email and the email address of that person. So let's do this 2 commands, and then we can come back and verify using config user.email and config user.name. So let's go ahead and do this. So get config and then -- global and user.name, and I'm going to call this Dolphin Ed, for example. And we're going to repeat the same, but instead of user.name, it's going to be user.email. And let's say I'm going to use a@a.com for now. If you use this email and you'd like to change it, you can always do get config unset user.email. So it will remove the email, and then you can add a new email if you wanted to. So if I do get config and -- list, you will see here that we have the username and the email as well. What else do I need? And of course, you can use this as well. Get config user.email, get config user.name in order to specifically find out what's the email and what's the username instead of watching the -- list, everything about the configuration for Git. All right, let's do version 1 of our biography project. So now we are going to start working with Git. Alex is a developer building his own biography, which will be posted online. So he's working on the file that eventually that text is going to be taken and probably posted in an HTML file or CSS file or however that will be online. So Alex will go on his machine, his project directory, the My Bio project, and he's going to use the command echo, hi, my name is Alex, I love coffee, and redirect that into bio.txt. This is one way to do it. Another way to do it is I'm going to do touch bio.txt. So that's another way. I'm going to use it in the first step, but then we can use the echo if you want. So that creates a file. If you do ls, then we have a file right now, bio.txt. If I do get status to see what has changed, and now see, I have an untracked file. So get immediately, because it's initialized in this directory and any subdirectories, it has detected that there is a file, bio.txt, the color is red, and it's saying that this is untracked. So you did not instruct me to track it. If this is the meal in the kitchen, then that's fine. I don't want the waiter to take an uncooked meal. So if you still need to work and create other files and make changes and all that before you track and take a snapshot, it's up to you. So you decide what is a working version that you would like to keep in the history, which you may go back to later on. So for example, this is the biography for 2024. So once I add everything, and this is, let's say, this is December 2024. So once I add everything, that is going to be committed as 2024 version. That's it. All right. Use git add if you want to add it and to be tracked. Now we should enter this text into that file. So hi, comma, my name is Alex. I love coffee. Let's go ahead and write that. So how am I going to do that? With an editor called Nano. And this will be bio.txt. And here's the file. I say, hi, my name is Alex. I love coffee. Control X, Y, and enter. And if I want to make sure that it has received it properly, I can do bio.txt. And as you can see, hi, my name is Alex and I love coffee. If I do get status again, it will be like before. So again, it's bio.txt, because it was a new file, you didn't add it, and now it is a new file with modifications and you did not add it yet. So now Get knows about it, knows about what's happening, but as long as you didn't move it into the staging area, that means the waiter cannot go in the kitchen and grab anything and leave. They have to wait until it is in the waiter tray in order to be able to move it into a specific table. Same thing here. I'm still working on it. I didn't finish. All right. So ls minus a. Oh, we have done that. Get status. We have seen it. Get add bio.txt. So now add it into the staging area. So let me go back here and I'm going to do get add. I can do dot, but this is going to take everything in the working directory and add it into the staging area. In my case, it doesn't make a difference because I have only one file. But if you had 10 files and 2 of them only, you would like to move them into the staging area, it's up to you. You can do get add and then the first file name space, second file name, and so on. Or you can do get add dot or a single file. It's all up to you. So in my case, I did this. If I do get status, see now, before it was complaining about it. Now there is a new file called bio.txt, and this is changes to be committed. It's in the staging area and it is ready when you want to commit that. What if you did something by mistake and you'd like to remove it? Then you have get rm minus cached and the file name. So this is to unstage it and take it back into the untracked area. So it's possible to move this way and to move opposite as well. Now what we need to do is we need to do the git commit. If I do ls, the file is still there. So it's going to look the same, bio.txt, and if I do ls minus a, also it will look the same. I have bio.txt and I have the .get hidden folder. So what we need to do now is get commit and minus m with the commit, so you can leave a message and I can say this is version 1, and let's stick to what is in the file. Get status and initial bio, and comma, hit enter. Now as you can see, one file change, one insertion, and create mode for bio.txt. If I do get status now, I don't have anything. Working tree clean, no changes, no new files, nothing in the staging area, and nothing to commit. That's the situation right now. And we did this. All right. So graphically, what we have done, if we scroll back a little bit, so I had the file in the bio.txt in the working area and it was untracked. When I did get status, it was asking me to use get add to add it. When I add it using get add, then bio.txt as a new file with its content has been moved into the staging area. Moved doesn't mean that it disappeared. It is still in the same directory, but from the Git perspective, it has been moved with its changes into the staging area. What if I make new changes? Now this is not a new file. It's going to be in that working directory as modifications to an existing file. But the file itself physically has not moved. This is only Get is looking at, and it has some imaginary staging and stuff like that, but the file is not moved. So if you go back, if I do ls, I still have the file. The file did not move or go anywhere. But from a Git perspective, it moved virtually from being untracked into a tracked or staged file. And then when we did the Git status, we saw about this change. When we did Git commit, now there is a version 1. The initial bio has been saved in the .get. So now the repo now has one version of this file, which is version 1, based on this message that we have written. So it doesn't have to be version 1. It could be with a date. So I can have here, let's say October 10th, 2023. So it all depends on what I need in order to be able to retrieve or identify which version I need later on when I want to go back in history. Now let's work on version 2. So Alex goes to sleep. Next day he comes back from work and he needs to continue working on this. Alex remembers that I have the bio.txt file and now it's time to write, hi, my name is Alex. I love coffee and hiking. So we're going to add and hiking. And this is going to redirect it, instruct it to redirect it into bio.txt. If you have one greater than sign, that means replace what's in the file. If you do two of them, two, that means append to what is in the file. So this one is deleting what is in the file and updating it with this. So I'm going to do that. I can do it with Nano. We can do it this way. It's up to you. So let's go back. I can do echo. And then hi, comma, my name is Alex. I love coffee and hiking. And we are going to append that to bio.txt. You could have used Nano if you want. It's up to you. Let me check cat bio.txt. And as you can see, now it is a different file. So what happened to my version 1 file? Well, it's the same file. Did I overwrite it? We'll find out at the end if get does what it promises to do or that was just a scam. All right, so get status. See, now it's not talking about a new file. It's talking about an existing file that has been modified. And you can do get add file, or you can do get restore file to discard changes in the working directory. So you can make changes that you can discard if you wanted to. So get is comprehensive. Now, if I do ls, it's one file. Git comment now, and I do -m and write anything and hit enter. If I do get status, you'll find the same thing. So there was nothing to be committed because you didn't move it into the staging area. So you have to add it first using get add. Now, if I do get status, you can see it has been added right now in the staging area. So to look at a visual that explains this, I have done modification to the same file, and then I used get add, which is going to move that from the Git perspective into the staging area, which means changes are ready to be committed whenever I decide. Then we do get status. It will notice the change and it will show it in green color, which means it has been added now, ready to be committed. And if we do get commit, that means it's going to add a second version into the repo. So now I have version 1 and I have version 2, a snapshot, a copy at this point in time. So let's go ahead and do the get commit right now. So I'm going to repeat the get commit command, but I'm going to put a meaningful one as per the instructions. So version 2 added hiking. Okay, hiking. All right, so I have 2 commits right now. What if I want to look at the previous commits? I can do git log, and that's the history of commits that has happened. And as you can see here, this is the git log. So we have commit number 1 that has this comment, version 1 initial bio. And this is a commit ID that we have. And also, and here it shows who is the author, what's the date, and version 2 with the comment, and also who's the author and what's the ID. You can do a one-liner output, which is much easier than this when you do git log and then hyphen, one line. So now you have 2 commits, version 2, version 1, and you have a short form of the ID. So this is the first few from the second one, and these are the first from the first one. All right, okay, excellent. So what do we need to do now? Let's go ahead and go nuts and do a third version. So in this one, it's going to be echo, hi, my name is Alex, I love coffee, hiking, and coding. And get status to see the changes. All right, so let's do echo. Hi, my name is Alex, I love coffee, hiking, and coding. And we are going to redirect that into bio.txt. To check, cat bio.txt. And as you can see, then it is completely different. So what happened to version 1 and version 2? Where did the files go? Do I have multiple files? No, I still have only one file that is available. And if I do ls -a, I have the bio.txt and I have the .get. So if that was your resume, your shopping list, your project, your thesis for the master's or for your graduation, or that was your CV or resume, it's only one file, but now you have multiple snapshots. All right, now if we do get status, I have modified file. If I do get add dot, or I can just do bio.txt if I want only these modifications to be added. I do get status again, and now we have modifications ready. So I do get commit and -m, and this will be version 3 added coding, and hit enter. If I do get log, so as you can see, we have 3 versions. Version 1, the initial commit, and added hiking, and version 3 for added coding. And each one has a commit ID or a commit hash. And if we do the get log one line, oh, get log, not good. You'll see that we have 3 of them. All right, as you can see. All right, what else do we need to do? So version 3, get add bio.txt, and of course when we add it, that means different color now, just to highlight modifications, and get commit is going to add version 3. So this is the most recent one, and this is the very initial one, and the ones in between are the commits that you have done. In my case, it's only version 2, but in your case, it might have been 10, 15, 20 other versions, and they're all reflecting into one file, bio.txt. Now let's travel in time with Get. Let's go back and find out if we can retrieve the same file to be in an initial state or the middle state that we have gone through. So we are going to do get checkout, and if I do get log one line, it will show me, as you have seen, 3 versions. And this is the most recent one. The top one, version 3, is the most recent one. So what if I need to go to the initial draft? All you need to do is to type the command get checkout and then the ID or the hash of that specific version. So let's go ahead and try this. Let's do get checkout. And then the ID, let's take the initial one, version 1, and hit enter. Again, got all the time. Oh my goodness. So now I have supposedly moved into version 1. How can I confirm? Do ls, it's still one file. Do cat for the file to see the content. Is it the initial one? Is it the latest one or the middle one? Let's find out. As you can see, it is the very first one where we only had coffee. In the second one, we added hiking. In the third one, we added coding. So it indeed took me back into version 1. So that means if you were working on your resume, on your code, in your bash script, in your Terraform script, whatever you were working on, your grocery and shopping list, your resume, you can go back in time if you wanted to, at the very specific points where you have taken snapshots. So now we went into version 1. What if I want to go back? If you want to go back, all you need to do is you do get checkout, the same command, but you do main or master. Now if I do cat, you'll find that I'm back into coffee, hiking, and coding. What if I wanted to go into the second version, not this one? Put the ID for the second version or any version you want, and you can switch back to it. So now if I take the second one, which is this one here, and if I do cat for the file, you'll find that I have coffee and hiking. You can go back and forth between them. So get, as you can see, one file, very neat, very clean folder, and it has everything, and you can jump back and forth as you wish, and it works very clean without any troubles. So let me go back into the master again. And if I do cat again, I am now in version 3 once again. All right, so hopefully this is clear. Hopefully you understand the importance of Git. And this is important for anyone who works with files, with code, with scripts, with Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. If you are a teacher, if you are an assistant teacher, a student at school, you are working on a science project, it's beneficial for everyone, as you have seen. All right, so hopefully now you are convinced that you need to know more about Git, because it looks like it is not for developers only, and it's not for DevOps engineers only. It is for anyone who deals with multiple versions or multiple updates of the same file. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel. Activate notifications so you'll get amazing videos like this one. And if you liked it or it was beneficial, please don't be stingy. Give us the thumbs up and share it with others who might benefit from this video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.